Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of Fear raid guide for Blade Lord Tyak. He's the second boss in the new Heart of Fear instance. As always, I'm World Boss, the GM and raid leader of Bless the Martyr.
And I am Meows, the healing lead.
First off, just want to say sorry for the little bit of delay on these videos. We wanted to keep the format the same. Meows actually had an issue where she didn't have a voice for almost a week, so we apologize for that. Blade Lord Tyak's a two-phase encounter. The first phase lasting from 100% down to 20%, and the second phase the remainder of his life. With that, let's get into our kill video here. The first thing you'll notice is the room you encounter him in is a very long hallway. What you want to do is you want to make use of that by pulling him back towards one end of the hallway. This will allow you room, as one of his abilities is called Tempest Strike. He quickly makes a slash, creates a tornado. Tornado shoots back to an area where it's going to settle in, and then it rotates around a small point on the ground. It knocks anyone away that it hits, as well as it deals a massive amount of nature damage, so you want to keep your eye out for these things. You don't want to get hit by them. Healers are going to be really tight on mana later on in the fight, and you'll see why, so you don't want to get hit by that. One of the other abilities that you really have to look out for as a raid is the Unseen Strike. What the Unseen Strike is he'll fixate on a player. They'll get an arrow above his head. If you have Bigwigs or DBM, it'll yell at you who it has. He then deals on 25 man 6 million physical damage. On 10 man it's 3 million. In a cone, 15-yard cone in front of him. Once he fixates the player, he disappears for 5 seconds, and he'll reappear 5 seconds later. That's when the strike happens. So what you want to do is you want to have your entire raid just run into melee, stack up in melee to distribute the damage for the strike. It also allows usage of very strong raid cooldowns like Power Word Barrier that can help mitigate some of this damage. As soon as the strike goes off and the knockback happens, you want everyone else spread out.
Healing for the tornadoes is pretty straightforward. Since no one's supposed to be getting hit, you just avoid standing in them. As far as the Unseen Strike goes, it's quite a bit of burst damage, but there's really not much to heal in between the strikes. So you can pretty much drop your AoE healing in melee before the strike, and it'll probably tick maybe once or twice before the actual strike happens. After it happens, and then melee can run back, they're going to get healed up, and you can just slowly heal up the rest of the raid that way.
Now, the other abilities he has during this phase is Intensify. Intensify happens every 60 seconds of the encounter. Increases damage dealt by 5% as well as its haste by 5%. So for that reason, you really want to be able to push phase 2 as quick as possible, because that's when a massive amount of raid damage is going out. For that reason, we use Bloodlust on the pull. The final ability he has is Overwhelming Assault. Overwhelming Assault is used on the tanks. It's a attack that does 150% normal damage, so nothing massive by itself. However, it does put a debuff on your tank. The debuff is called, I think if I remember right, Weaken Defenses or something along those lines. However, what that does is that's going to increase the damage taken by any overwhelming assaults by 100%. Now, this does stack, so you really don't want to take any more than 2. The way it really works, you want whoever is not actively tanking to taunt when the stacks fall off. Whoever pulls, let them go to 2, and then just go from there. With that, as a tank, you really want to have some type of defensive cooldown. Whether it's small things like Divine Protection for a Paladin, Stagger for a Monk, Ironbark for a Druid, really pulling your Death Strikes for a large Blood Shield, or even Icebound Fortitude as a Death Knight, or just Demoralizing Banner or Demoralizing Shout as a warrior. Those are more than enough to survive that second strike. If you don't have any of these, ensure that you use a larger cooldown or an external, because that second strike is going to hit you for upwards near 400k.
The tank damage, considering this particular mechanic, is very spiky, and aside from that, heavy as it is. You do want your strongest single target healers. In our case, we had a Disc Priest and Holy Paladin on our tanks. They had externals available anytime the tanks needed them, and pretty much had to spam around the time Unseen Strike or Overwhelming Assault happened.
The final ability you'll have to deal with in this phase is called Wind Step. He'll randomly teleport to a player in the raid, make a quick slash. It causes every player within 8 yards to bleed for 80,000 physical damage every 3 seconds for 30 seconds. Simple solution to this: turn your rangefinder on. Don't be within 8 yards of each other unless you're stacking up for the Unseen Strike. Yeah.
Healing for Wind Step is pretty straightforward, as is, everything else in this encounter. You just focus the person that gets hit by it, and if there's anyone within 8 yards, which there shouldn't be, you have to toss heals to them as well. But for the most part, strong hots, and you can bop them as well if you feel necessary. Will take care of that mechanic.
Now here you see the transition into the second phase. Throws everyone in the middle of the room, you get sucked in the tornado, you start moving down. The important thing is that everyone's topped off heading into this. So to accomplish that, what we did is we used our Enhancement Shaman and 1 Elemental Shaman's Ancestral Guidance at 22% to ensure everyone was topped off. Now if you watch my grid very closely, you can see a massive amount of damage is going out right now. As a healer, you really need to ensure that you're getting your heals off. If that means you get pushed back a little bit or you have to stop moving, that's what it means. You can't let people die. We did have several enrage wipes because we had just so many people die due to that reason. This is when you want to use any mobility type speed increases. Now, once you bring him down to 10%, he switches, goes to the other platform, and you have a little bit more difficult of a run this time because the tornadoes stop once he gets to the other side. So you saw a couple tornadoes there as we're going through that are kind of right on top of each other. Don't be afraid to step into the slipstream off to the side in order to not get picked up by a tornado.
As World Boss said, this phase is pretty intense as far as healing goes. You do want to walk into phase 2 with most of your mana pool intact because you're going to be burning all of your cooldowns and all of your instants and big heals the entire time you're running for tornadoes. When we had 2 Resto Shamans, we both gave Symbiosis to our Elemental Shamans to pick up Spirit Walker's Grace, which I think helped quite a bit in that sense. But your mobile heals are king here, but if you do have to stop to save somebody, it's gotta be done. Like, the enrage is pretty tight, and you can't lose too many people to tornadoes. Once you reach the platforms, the damage lessens. It's not altogether gone, but ground AoE will cover most of it. It's really just getting bombing and mobile heals in between platforms.
Well, that about wraps it up for this kill video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe up above. There's also links to some of our other guides as well. Like I said, keep an eye out for the Garelon, Windlord, as well as Heroic Garajal encounters, hopefully this evening into tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions with the encounter, just ask below. We'll answer them as soon as we possibly can. And if you like this, if this helps you out, thumbs us up, subscribe us, and good luck in Heart of Fear.